Friday. Welcome, everybody. I see our provost is on the call. And I'll also take a minute to acknowledge Dean Shannon of School of Nursing. But before I give the floor to our provost for opening remarks, I would just like to acknowledge the sponsors of the Tuskegee University Interdisciplinary Seminar Series, amongst which we have the Andrew Mellon Foundation, the Tuskegee University Faculty Senate, Tuskegee University Office of the Provost, the National Park Services, Tuskegee University College of Arts and Sciences, Tuskegee University College of Agriculture, Environment and Nutrition Sciences, the Department of Modern Languages, Communication and Philosophy, and last but not the least, the committee members, because the series has a 10-member committee from across the campus overseeing this series. And it is an opportunity for us to exchange our ideas. So we will give the floor to Provost Hargrove for the opening remarks. After Provost Hargrove's remarks, we will have an introduction of the speaker by Ms. Ari, and then we would listen to the speaker. So, Provost Hargrove, welcome. And we are thirsty for your remarks. You have the floor.
Well, thank you, Dr. Indy. I appreciate the opportunity to give greetings. And I want to thank you and all those that are involved with scheduling, coordinating this event, whereby we have the opportunity to listen to ideas and exchange information. You know, that's actually what the college environment is about. It is an environment for mutual exchange of knowledge, information, and ideas. And those ideas typically lead to innovative approaches to enhancing and improving operations, processes, or for many of us, just our quality of life. And so today we have an outstanding professor who has a wealth of experience and knowledge of a emerging field or discipline that any major at Tuskegee or any major at any university should have a level of consciousness and competency with regard to the ability to make decisions based on data and to manage and analyze data to make viable and important decisions relative to whatever discipline that they may find themselves in. So I'm excited about learning what is to be shared. I want to thank all the students. I see a lot of students on here, also for the faculty and some staff. Thank you for your presence on a Friday late afternoon, but it's well worth it as we get prepared for the end of the academic semester, and also enjoy some time next week to celebrate what I call not only Thanksgiving, but family time. And I hopefully that all of you have that opportunity to give thanks, celebrate, and spend some real quality time with your loved ones. So on that note, thank you again, Dr. ND, and all those involved. Let's open our minds and ears, and let's get that knowledge.
Thank you very, very much, Provost Hargrove. At this time, we are going to pass the floor to Ms. Aris Need, a computer science junior at Tuskegee, to introduce us our speaker. Ms. Aris Need, you have the floor.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
We'll
perfect.
appreciate the video too.
Oh, a video. Okay, one sec. Okay, so I'm just getting out of class, guys, so I'm still in my car. I apologize about that. But I'll go ahead and start us off with a brief biography. So let's get started. So our speaker today is an associate professor of management at the Bremer College of Business and Information Science at Tuskegee University and, of course, Tuskegee, Alabama. She graduated with a PhD in business administration and international business with a concentration in management and organizational behavior from the University of Texas Pan American in Edinburgh, Texas, now known as the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. She obtained an MBA with a concentration in the international business and a BS in business administration with a major in leadership and management and organizational behavior, both from Rider University in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. She obtained an associate degree from the Académie Versailles in Paris, France, also an adjunct professor with Madonna University in Michigan. She is engaged in leadership research as well as cross-cultural research comparing in the United States and France and comparing Asian, Hispanic, Native American, and African cultures. Her research includes cross-cultural studies in various topics, including leadership, healthcare, management, and identity theft and culture. She has published in these areas in the Case Research Journal, where she won the prize for the best case study published for that year, Review of Business Research, International Journal of Services and Standards, International Journal of Business Strategy, the Journal of Strategic and International Studies, among other journals. She designed a course linking US and Chinese students to live classes using Polycom technology. She is a reviewer for many academic journals and an ad reviewer for the International Journal of Services and Standards, as well as a member of the PhD project. Prior to joining Tuskegee University, she was a member of the faculty at Virginia State University in Petersburg, Virginia. She has been with the faculty at the University of Texas Pan American as a graduate teaching assistant. After earning her PhD from that same institution, she respectively rejoined the faculty at the following institutions of higher learning: Long Island University at their Brooklyn campus, Fayetteville State University at Fayetteville, North Carolina, Virginia State University at Petersburg, Virginia, from where she joined the faculty at Tuskegee University. Prior to her academia, she spent many years in the United Nations headquarters in New York, where she worked with different programs. And Dr. Isanja is working a big data education, microfinance and communities of color, the impact of healthcare disparities of populations of color, the effect of the pandemic on students in U.S. campuses, as well as she is investigating student engagement in higher education in the U.S., France, Cameroon, and China. Her work has recently been published in the Transnational Corporations Review, a publication by Taylor and Francis. She recently presented an empirical study on the effects of the pandemic on students' engagement and mental health. Using the example of miniature sample of students at an HBCU, study accepted for publication in the Vubric book in French. Currently, she is a UNCF faculty fellow, fellowship whose purpose is to train faculty at HBCUs to become effective in embedding culturally relevant teaching practices and industry-specific skills in their courses. She is also the current faculty senate chair. Join me in welcoming our speaker for today with a big TU welcome. TU.
You know,
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Provost, for accepting to introduce this presentation. Thank you, Dr. Andy, for giving me an opportunity to present this topic. With your permission, I'm going to start sharing my PowerPoints.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. Can we all see my slides?
Yes.
Thank you. So the title of this presentation is Big Data Education. Numbers are important too. And this is from an empirical study that I conducted with a colleague of mine from Long Island University. So what kind of graduates are companies looking for is the topic of our discussion today. Again, I thank everyone for being here. As Provost mentioned, Friday afternoon. Of course, you have better things to do, so I really, really appreciate all of you being here. We're going to start with a couple of definitions, and we're going to discuss the reason why we're talking about big data. We're going to talk about big data analytics, students' awareness of such topics. We're going to talk about big data awareness and how it impacts students' willingness to take business analytics courses. We're going to talk a lot about self-efficacy theory and market-ready graduates. Then we'll have a couple of words to conclude this discussion. So defining the terms that we're going to use, right? Big data is what we're going to be talking about. Now in this discussion, terms such as business analytics, business intelligence, business data are going to be used interchangeably based on what the literature shows to be accurate. And these terms, right, big data and all those, they talk about how companies amass, collect, gather, store, access, process information in order to improve the way that they make decisions. So in fact, how they collect information on us in order to enhance their decision-making ability. So business analytics is about the way that companies collect, process, understand, or try to understand information and use it in order to drive decision-making in their companies. Now, business intelligence more so aligned with the technology side of information change, right? Alteration from raw data to information that has been filtered that they can use. Lastly, big data itself. Well, this is about the volume of data bigger than what we will consider as being normal, that we can manage at any time. And what makes big data what it is effectively the unusual volume of the amount of data that constitute big data, and also the variety of this type of data. And last but not least, the velocity at which this type of information is gathered. So big data refers to data set with unstructured data, that is data that has not been filtered, it has not been studied, it has not been categorized. So this is really just data that is still raw, unfiltered. It also just data generated from sensors, right? data that is collected, gathered from social media, right? When people tweet, when people go on Facebook, maybe you access a website and they ask you to like the information that you're reading, you do that, yes? What are you doing? You're giving information with the like that you just submitted. And really just data that comes from traffic on the web. That's what big data refers to. Now, big data's characteristics, qualities really give meaning to the business analytics revolution, and we're going to see why. Because at the core of big data, what do we have? We have companies' ability to understand this gigantic amount and variety of data that is just dumped literally on their lap and at the speed of light, right? So rapidly, so much data, so rapidly collected, gathered from everything that we do on the internet, right? As we just said, Facebook, TikTok, whatnot, everything that we do on the web is really just giving enormous amounts of data to companies. Why do we care? Well, we care because these gigantic amounts of data, they require that someone filter, transform, shape information in order for companies to be able to use it. And companies need individuals who are trained in order to have this done, for companies to be able to make informed, targeted decisions. Guess what? The literature shows even today that companies don't have such individuals. And they don't like that because it's making it difficult for them to leverage the full potential of big data, right? Companies, if they can do something and they know they cannot do it because they're lacking the resources to do it, they don't like that. What they don't like that also means they're ready to pay for someone who is able to do it. Okay, so we all, I'm sure, are familiar with everything that I'm saying, all of us, because we know this behavior. We all shop on the internet, right? So we go on Amazon, maybe, you know, the weather's changing, I need a beanie. So we look at beanies and these beanies, I don't like them very much. Oh, well, let me, okay. You know what, well, I need to go back to work, and I'm going to go on the website and just get an article for some research. Well, guess what? The article comes with the beanie that you were looking at on Amazon, or beanies, if you looked at many, that's just an example. Well, guess what? JCPenney also is showing you some beanies and maybe Kohl's, I don't know what not. Now you have a number of beanies. Well, you don't only have beanies, now you also have, you know, it's cold. Maybe you need a new sweater because the one that you have, maybe it's not the color of the season, whatever it is. You have suggestions now, right? So all of us have seen this. Well, now every website you're going to visit, you're going to see these things following you. Okay. What is happening? Is this random? Absolutely not. This is calculated. You're being targeted, right? This is not serendipity. Companies, you help them to understand you. Now they understand you even better than you understand yourself, right? They're offering you things to buy that you may need or may not need, right? So this is what is happening. And they want you to buy from me and not for the other company, because remember, my beanie is trendier than the beanie maybe that you just saw on Amazon. So then this constant bombarding of suggestions to you to buy things that you looked at, that you may have maybe just thought about or whatnot, this is what is going to help companies, right, enhance their bottom line. That's how they're going to, you know, in a very subtle way, entice you to buy. So then companies do understand that it's important for them to leverage the power of big data. They know that. So they need individuals trained who can extract this vital information for them. And this is going to make the data become usable information, and they're going to use the information to enhance their bottom line. Companies desperately need such people. So there is an opportunity here for our students. There is an opportunity here for our colleges, for predominantly Black serving institutions to leverage, right, the power of big data in order to help companies find from our graduates, students who can help them in their endeavor to make sense of data. And research shows that universities are not producing nearly enough of these types of graduates. Now, students who will graduate from colleges with the type of training that we're talking about, they're going to be able to work with companies that need them, that are not only ready to hire them, but that are going to also offer a very competitive salary. So now when a student graduates from college, they're expected to work in any company, of course, but companies also expect that the student will be flexible, agile enough, learn quickly what he needs to know in order for the company to make it worthwhile for the company to have hired them. What we also learn from research and also from what it is that industry specialists tell us, industry experts, what they tell us is that they don't find enough graduates with big data skills, with business analytics skills, with quantitative skills. And they continue to show, to indicate, to signal that if they had the opportunity to find such graduates, they would pay them a decent and enticing salary. We're discussing this, why? Because the research that we conducted showed that many students are not aware of what we're discussing. They know about big data. They may not know how critical big data is today for businesses. And we were proposing, suggesting, offering that if students knew what was at stake, they would be happy to embrace courses that will help them to be the type of graduates that companies want. They would be eager to take these courses if these courses were offered. And I was yesterday at a webinar offered by the UNCF on how predominantly Black institutions could attract students, could retain students. And they were talking about just making sure that they were offering programs with good outcomes. But what are good outcomes? Good outcomes are those that are aligned with what the industry wants, needs, expects, right? So if colleges offer this type of courses, and again, they're not doing that enough, well, they're enhancing the course portfolio, making themselves more attractive to potential students. So we're talking about lack of awareness because we said our students are not really aware of the ramifications of big data and whatnot, but our students also lack self-efficacy. Self-efficacy, briefly defined as a person's belief in their own capacity to execute behaviors that are needed to produce specific performance attainments. Right? So that's the yes, we can effect, which research shows can be shaped by a number of things that we're going to discuss. So we tested propositions saying that students will be drawn, attracted towards business analytic courses, quantitative courses, if the following two conditions were met. If they were helped to understand the critical importance of such courses, but most importantly, if they were convinced, persuaded that these courses were not beyond their reach. So two things. first of all, understand how these courses are important, what they mean for them, for companies who are coming to hire them, but also hear someone telling them you can be successful if you took these courses. So Bandura talks at length about self-efficacy, how it shapes our behavior. And we used it to offer this argument that students, especially students at our institutions, right, predominantly Black serving institution, that our students will be able to embrace these courses that we're talking about in greater number if, again, right, we're repeating ourselves, if they know that they will succeed if they took the course. And if they also know that taking the course will be to their advantage, that will open well-paying jobs to them, that it will ensure them employability upon graduation. And yes, we're talking about well-paying jobs because, of course, money isn't everything, but money is not nothing, right? As someone said, try living without money. So you want to, as a college, have also the opportunity to offer these types of courses for those who are willing to take them if they know that they will be successful if they took these courses, and also that these courses will help them be employed and command a premium when they're employed. So we started to discuss this just as I'm complaining or I'm just voicing comments when I'm, discussing with another colleague, my colleague with whom we did this together. She's a lawyer. She's a Black lawyer. She's a woman of color. She's a Black lawyer. She is a CPA. She's an accountant. So she teaches these courses, and we could talk about how hesitant our students usually are, not only to take these courses, but also so how they tend to not be convinced that they will do well. All right, so I teach SAP. I also help students to work on TMS, and these software are really not difficult. And students sometimes hesitate. They have an apprehension. They think they may not be able to be successful, but they usually are, right? Past a certain stage, they get the hang of it, right? So should they be a little bit hesitant? Absolutely. But once convinced, persuaded, right? That's the yes, you can effect, right? They usually do well, and they're happy that they took the course. But students, most of the time, do not understand how critical these type of courses are. And when they do, they're afraid, again, that's lack of self-efficacy. They're afraid they may take the course and not pass. So they may not be aware that if they had this type of skills, right, there will be one in a kind. So you will be among those that are in such demand that literally you could command a salary that you may be surprised that you're getting. So a student who lacks the skills that are necessary to utilize basic software, lacks skills such as the quantitative skills that they should have, they start demonizing all skills with numbers. So you'll hear, I don't like numbers. And sometimes I have this discussion with my students and I tell them, what do you mean you don't like numbers? We all like numbers, right? How do you get here this morning? Because you know what time to get here. Even as we're having this class, all of us have our eyes on a number. What time the class is going to end? Or how do you balance your checkbook, right? If you have an account, right? So we all love numbers, period. So the proper attitude, again, is based on self-efficacy theory. Yes, you can, right? Persuading someone that a task that may look threatening, that's suggestive, right? Something is scary, that's a perception. That is subjective perception. This task may actually be a very simple task, but what it takes is to get the person to get to mastery of these tasks, right? So going from one success to another. So the person can internalize the yes, I can notion in order to understand, yeah, my calculus class isn't that bad. I was able to do well. My algebra class, right? My economics, my philosophy, right? All these. Because companies are looking for such graduates, industry experts tell us they want students who are excellent communicators. They want students who are good not only at oral communication but also written communication, presentation, also how they even present themselves on Zoom, because now we're going to be face-to-face and on Zoom. They want students with good number sense, right? So we want our students to understand this and also be eager to work towards acquiring these types of skills. So students sometimes hesitate towards business analytic courses, but if the following conditions were fulfilled, this will reduce this type of hesitancy. If students were helped gradually to build their skills, right? One success after another. If they saw the other students, the classmates do well, all it takes sometimes in a class is for a couple of students to master what's going on. Others tell themselves, oh yeah, well, if my peer, my classmate, my friend did this, if they were good at doing it, yeah, well, so am I. And before long, they all start to doing really well because they're becoming less stressful about what's happening. So I always tell my students, is it okay to feel stressed now? Yes, but it's also okay to let go of the stress progressively, right? So we have to go to, oh my goodness, what is this? To, yeah, I think I can do this. It's, yeah, it's not that bad, right? Like that. So just not overdo the stress. Okay, so a little bit technical here. We had 3 hypotheses. They were all supported. We offered that there will be a positive direct relationship between big data awareness and students' willingness to take business analytic courses. We offered that students in the Northeast, particularly New York, will have higher levels of students' willingness to take this type of courses. We also offer that students in the Northeast will have higher level of business data awareness. And again, all these hypotheses were supported. So we had a significance, we found significance for hypothesis 1. There was a positive direct relationship between big data awareness and students' willingness to take business analytic courses. We had a good slope of the regression that showed that for every 7% increase in students' willingness to take business analytic courses, there will be a 1 unit change in business data awareness. So there was a relationship there. So again, we only studied our students. We didn't have 500 students that answered, but we did have significance, absolutely. And also students in the Northeast, in New York, were more aware, they had more big data awareness than our students here. And of course, that caused them to have a higher level of willingness to take business analytic courses. And I'm just going on with the numbers, but clearly awareness was shown to be key, to be an ingredient, a non-negligible ingredient in students' willingness to take business analytic courses. When students knew, and we had a set of questions to test their awareness about what big data is, what it does for companies, why companies want individuals with big data. When they knew the correct answers to these questions, they were willing to embrace courses that will help them get the skills, right? Statistics, accounting, finance, philosophy, critical thinking, right? All the courses that companies want students to have taken in order to develop the skills that they will use and that will help them, the companies, to improve their bottom line, of course. So I'm trying to finish in an acceptable amount of time, giving an opportunity for all of you to either ask questions or move on to maybe starting your weekend. So for our students, right, what are the type of questions that they should be asking themselves? So as research said, research shows, research is indicating that students must have good communication skills and good number skills in order to be attractive to companies that come to hire them upon graduation. So the webinar that I mentioned at the outset was also indicating many of our students lack the skills needed. They don't also get to be in colleges where these courses are offered, or when they are, our students of color hesitate to take these courses, and these are the courses that command good salaries. So our colleges, should be offering these types of courses, but it's also important for our students to have the type of self-efficacy that will help them be eager to embrace these courses. So not only, have individuals who persuade, who reassure you that you're going to do well, you will succeed, but also who will help you build success, right? One opportunity at a time, in order to help the student build their self-efficacy, build the yes, I can notion. So students, then ask yourself, right? What skills are going to make me marketable, are going to make me attractive to companies that come to hire recently graduate students? What skills do I need for companies to see me as someone that they will die literally to have? What seeds am I planning now to be that type of candidate? So what type of skills are companies expecting from someone like me that I need to acquire in order for them to see me as the type of person they want? Well, do I think of learning more than just what is required from me? Am I good at communication? Am I good at building relationships? Do I believe in lifelong learning? Because companies want someone who, yes, you come with some, but you're also ready to learn some, right? Because whatever it is that you brought, the eager to build on it, are you that type of person? Do you believe in long life learning? And of course, also, do you believe in becoming engaged, right? In the company that is going to hire you as a recent graduate? So this is the end of my presentation. I hope we do have time for questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Isunga, for that riveting presentation. And we will open the floor for comments. Maybe I'll defer to the provost to give a remark before we open the floor for questioning. And I would like to acknowledge Dean Shannon and Dean Olga Bordon-Tiller, who are also on the call. I want to thank them for their encouragement. This is what we need from our administrators. Thank you. Provost Hargrove.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nd. Again, I just want to offer my support for this type of intellectual exchange. There were a couple primary takeaways from that excellent presentation. One is how important data is, and then secondly, what I would call career readiness of our graduates. And so as all of our students go through their academic experience, it's also important to be prepared professionally for their respective careers in industry, government, or even entrepreneurship. So thank you so much, Dr. Asunga. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Provost, very much.
So the floor is open for comments, questions. If you have you could put your question on the chat, or you could raise your hands and ask questions. No questions? No comments?
I think Dr. April, she has a comment. She said, I hope TU will consider a certificate. Social work incorporates this into our research and computer application class.
Oh, thanks, Dr. Jones, for that comment.
I got a question. How long did it take to get to where you are today, ma'am?
Oh, I started when I was 5. No, it took me a couple of years. I had unusual circumstances. My dad passed away early, so I went to school, then went to
My
work,
condolences.
then went back to school. Oh, thank you. Then went back to school. So I was a lifelong learner. I'm still a lifelong learner. I think by the time I was graduating with my PhD, I was over 40. I was really over 40, was married, had kids. So that makes me a very young person. So it took some time.
Thank you. All right, I have some questions on the chat. First, from Ms. Kennedy Legan, that this is great information. What classes specifically offer access to business analytics skills?
So there are such classes as big data analytics classes that colleges are offering more and more. It's just not enough. But data science involves many courses, such as, of course, statistics, accounting, finance, but also sociology, philosophy, communication. So sometimes, these type of courses are also housed in different colleges, right? So it's not one skill, it's a compendium of skills that makes someone a good business analytics person. But the other thing is that you find out that when you look at individuals who took these courses, they took them as part of a major that is offered. I'm not sure that we have this type of major now, but you can always start building this type of skills by taking all the quantitative classes that you can, by taking software training classes when you can, by taking your critical thinking classes when they're offered, your philosophy classes, your communication classes. So try to be a Renaissance man, in fact, right? So have your quantitative numbers, but also the other courses, as Dr. April mentioned, sociology, critical thinking, of course, is extremely important, philosophy as well.
Thank you. There is another question from our provost that you should inform us about the top 3 skills needed for industry to make an impact on the company.
So when we were, during the fellowship, industry experts were coming back to the notion of excellent communication skills. They said they were expecting that from graduates. They wanted to know that the graduate was able to express themselves well, to write well, to have excellent communication skills. They want graduates who have excellent critical thinking skills, and they want graduates who have good number sense. Good number sense because they're looking at the bottom line. They want the person to understand the relationship between their behavior and the company's productivity. So those, if I had to name 3 top ones, those would be the 3.
Okay, thank you. Let's continue with questions from the chat. Mr. Austin Gibson is finding out, what is your opinion of the Masters of Science in Information System and Computer Securities program at TU? Is what students could learn in that program related to what you just discussed?
Yes, most computer science programs also will require from you that you take math. So computer science, as we were looking at one of those majors, those fields, those disciplines that command decent salaries and where students of color are seriously underrepresented, yeah, that's one of those. But which should be embraced, because computer science are it, right? And they'll force you to also, they'll not force, require that you take other courses that will make you an attractive candidate, other quantitative courses. Now, I know that any good computer science program should have good theory and good practice. That's what makes students ready for the marketplace.
Okay, thank you. Let's continue with comments coming in on the chat. Dr. April Jones, thank you. Dr. April Jones indicates social works as one of the majors that incorporates into the curriculum specifically for social works practice. So thanking you for the informative session. And Dean Shannon of the School of Nursing says this is a wonderful presentation of very relevant information for health majors as well. Okay, so
yes,
she thanks you but excuses herself. And
nursing, Dr. Andy, if I may, nursing is also one of those fields in which we are underrepresented and which is an excellent field. I've had the experience often when I mention that I teach at Tuskegee, I'll have the reaction of, oh my goodness, they have an excellent nursing program. And I'm sorry to say this will come from Caucasians. And we are still extremely underrepresented in the nursing field, and that's an excellent field to which we should also help our students, gravitate, towards which we should help our students gravitate.
okay. All right. Any other questions? Raise hands, or if not, I'll say a word and give Dr. Esunga the last minute for any other reflection. Dr. Esunga, I want to thank you very, very much, because one of the things you've done in this presentation, I would be remiss if I don't say, about a month ago, I presented on, technology and capitalism, and actually looked at how technology, or let me say, the computer algorithms are configured to target specific people. And I considered it to be a form of enslavement or re-enslavement. But your presentation here actually clarifies when you point out the target of these companies is all about the bottom line enhancement of the company. And this is what I was driving at, but looking at it from the negative consequences of this technology. And I think to our audience, we also should be alerted as consumers not to fall prey. This information is important, not only for those who are studying, but for those who are victims of it, so they avoid falling prey to the new form of enslavement, which is we work and we spend the money, we give them back the money, and we end up with nothing, or we end up with trinkets that are not useful. So I want to thank you heartily, and I'll give you the last few minutes for any concluding or closing remarks you have for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you again, Dr. Andy. I thank all of us who came here today, our students, our deans, our professors. I thank the provost who is so supportive of our initiatives. I'm grateful. Dr. Andy, I know we have competing candidates for, for these presentations. I'm grateful that I'm one of those who was able to come and present to our beloved Tuskegee University community. And I only have words of thanks and gratitude towards all. Thank you again. Enjoy an excellent, restful, I hope, time with your family, and à bientôt. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And before you run, our next seminar series will be Friday, the 2nd of December. So for the young people, you really need to come to that, because it will be a young person addressing concerns of people in your generation. I want to thank everybody for coming, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.